Dr. Tulli.
Yes.
Yes, you are live, sir. You can start your presentation now. Thank you.
Okay. Good afternoon, everybody. I am thankful to Liberate Good MD program, and I've been asked today to talk on the subject of management of COVID-19 pandemic beyond the allopathic system of medicine. As you all know, I am Dr. R.K. Tulli. I am the founder of Society for Holistic Advancement of Medicine, called SOHAM, and I am considered a pioneer of the clinical concept of holistic medicine, having established the world's first ever department of holistic medicine at the state-of-the-art multi-specialty tertiary care Indraprastha Apollo hospitals way back in year 1995 at the behest of its founder chairman, Dr. Pratap Singh Reddy, who made a prophecy then that this holistic medicine is going to be the medicine of 21st century. And this was followed by 1998, since holistic medicine is a board certified specialty in the USA and is picking up as the latest specialty all over the world. Well, friends, holistic medicine complements the best practices of modern medicine or the allopathic system of medicine with the drug-free modalities of the various traditional or so-called alternate systems of medicine. To get the best of all the systems for the benefit of our patients, and at the same time overcome the inherent deficiencies in the respective systems. Now, why there is a need to talk about management of this COVID-19 pandemic beyond the system of allopathy. As we are in the midst of this pandemic, we somehow, there is a general impression in the public that we do not have any reliable treatment for it. Of course, the hallmarks of controlling and managing the COVID pandemic are the three COVID appropriate behaviors, which means wearing a mask. And in fact, a double mask is being suggested in view of the increasing virulence and infectivity of the modern strains of the virus, keeping distance of at least 6 feet between two people, and maintaining sanitation of not only your hand sanitation, but sanitation of your entire premises. Of course, our country has launched a huge immunization program, which poses its own challenges because of the massive population of our country. You know, we are nearly 135 to 140 crore population, and it needs to vaccinate at least 80%. That means over 100 crore of our population to achieve a state of what may be called herd immunity. It's a uphill task, is going to take its own time. So we need to be alert, and nothing like your own safety. We have to be very, very particular. The aim of each one of us, the hallmark of controlling this pandemic lies in its prevention. And prevention, vaccination is the method which is being offered. And as you all know, that for the size and the population of our country, it's going to need a lot of time, and we do not know what is the future status of these vaccines. Whether the new mutants, the variants that will come up in near future, whether this vaccine will be able to protect us or safeguard us. We do not know for how long, whether its validity is going to be for 6 months or 1 year, or how often we are going to need their repeat their dosage, etc. Nobody at this stage knows about it. So the hallmark of managing the pandemic remains in its prevention. And in any case, prevention has been always considered as the best medicine. So I am going to share my observations of this pandemic and how we can overcome this by using the wisdom of our traditional or the ancient systems, which have been which are generally described as the Ayush systems, which have got an official recognition. That means they also have a scientific backing. They have served the humanity for a very, very long time, as modern medicine is said to be evidence-based. But these evidence, unfortunately, do not last for very long. And friends, you all have seen the gold standards of medical practices biting the dust after a few years. And not only that, these evidences have been very often even manipulated. But what has served the humanity for thousands of years, the wisdom of our Ayurveda or the system of yoga derived from the system of Atharveda, have stood the test of time. They have served the humanity and have proven to safeguard the human health, human life, and also thus the best protection, because it can imbibe us what is called the Rog Pratirod Shakti, that is the immune power of each individual. So I share this ancient wisdom with you with a Vedic prayer. Sarve bhavantu sukhina, sarve santu niramaya. The essence of this prayer is that may all beings be happy and healthy, and may no one suffer in any way. So to understand this, we have to slightly go beyond our medical concepts. In that, the medical science treats the human being as a body, and there is a specialist to every part of the body. But according to Charaka Samhita or our Ayurveda, human being is not just merely the body, but a combination of the body, the mind, the senses, and the Atma, or the soul. A human being at the core is a soul, is the Atma or the spirit. And this being the spirit of the human being, the practices that enhance our spirit or the very factor of our life, it is the core of our life, it is the core of our identity, and it is the core of our existence. And it is also thereby the core of our very purpose. So we must understand that at the core, I am that Atma, the soul or the spirit. And to begin with, we all know that मैं एक शांति प्रिय आत्मा हूं. That is, my soul is peace loving, or I am a peace loving human being. So we must do everything at our command to generate this peace within us. Peace is Shanti, also harmony. Is peace within me, peace all around me, and my harmony. When we talk of the Atma, the life-giving energy that imbibes in each individual, we also become aware of the Paramatma, that is the infinite source of energy of the universe, the macrocosm of which I am the microcosm. It is very important for the microcosm to be in harmony with the macrocosm, to be at peace with the macro, that is my Atma with my Paramatma. This is not only the life-giving energy, it is also the intelligence of the nature. Just as we are talking of the artificial intelligence today, it is the nature's unbounded, infinite awareness which gives us this life. And we must recognize that and try to create this peace or the harmony within me. And that gives me the strength, that energy, that imbibes me in me, my health, and my, as good as is my health is depends how good is my immunity. And this immunity is like a safety armor which will protect us. The medical science, the modern medical science has been based upon a trilogy of 3 factors. They say host, that is me, the human being, the environment in which we live, and the agent. Agent is the disease-causing agent. Unfortunately, in medical practice, in medical science, we are all the time chasing the agent or the disease-causing agent without being able to do anything for the human host. Medical science does not offer us anything whereby we can augment the human life force or the human defenses or the human health. All the time we are chasing the agent, and that too, it's allopathic. That means by external interventions. It does not provide me with any facility whereby I can enhance my own health, my own immunity, and thereby tackle the germs and be able to survive. So it is very important. Also, the Ayurveda and yoga are based upon very important what is called Dincharya and the Ritucharya. Dincharya means the lifestyle. That is how I spend my day, how my body behaves differently in different seasons. So I have to be also aware of that. So the most important thing today is to understand what is lifestyle. Because today, most of the diseases are being termed lifestyle disorders. And as a part of disturbing my lifestyle, as the quality of my life, the quality of my health and my immunity goes down, I become vulnerable to all kinds of germs which may be around in my environment, and I succumb to that. And what is happening today, that there is an atmosphere of great stress, tension, anxiety, fear. People are perpetually as if in a state of phobias. Now, friends, this depletes our life force. You know, a moment of stress or anxiety or a bad news can take our life. But when we remain in that state perpetually, we are in a state of perpetual drain out of our life force. Our immunity goes down and we become very vulnerable. And that is the main cause of this virus, which is taking its toll. Just Shanti hi meri Shakti hai. I must be able to keep my peace, my harmony. So that is my strength. I must be able to maintain that. And to be in that state, I must be able to generate. You see, all these negative feelings, they create negative energies. They pull down. It is a scientific fact that the energy of this planet is about 27.4 megahertz. Now, when these energies go down, we start losing our energy or our health. So we have to indulge in practices whereby we can raise these vibrations of this energy, and that augments our health, our immunity, and our defenses. So all these Kam, Krodh, Lobh, Moh, Maya, Irsha, all these things, stress, tension, anxiety, greed, these are the things which deplete our life force. So we have to be aware of it to safeguard against, and at the same time, human being has got very positive nature. It wants to help others, it wants to love, it wants to do good, etc. And these are the things which help develop our peace, our harmony, our health, and also our immunity to keep us away. At the same time, we should also keep all the electronic gadgets, their use. Today we are very dependent on these electronic gadgets, etc. But they certainly do not promote our health and create these no negative energies in our environment, and we must safeguard against them. They are still in the subtle domain that we cannot perhaps prove at the physical plane, but so is the human life. Human life is a very subtle energy which perhaps cannot be measured by any medical device. So we must be aware of it. And another aspect very important is to be in gratitude, to be thankful to the nature what it has given to us, to our family, to our parents. And if we see, I tell my patients, nobody has got a glass full in their life. Everybody has got a half glass full. So let us learn this habit of expressing our gratitude for what we have. Let us enjoy, let us relish what we have. That will enhance our life force. But generally, it is seen that the habit is that what I have, I do not appreciate. And I do not enjoy. So I am in a state of perpetual worry or anxiety or stress, tension, depleting my life force continuously. So it is very important to be in this and practice peace. As they say, Rishi Patanjali described yoga as a Ashtanga yoga. It is very important that Ashtanga yoga is to nourish our life force, is our human spirit, and that is where the spirituality. You know that the greatest scientists of the era, way back about 100 years ago, Albert Einstein described that science without spirituality is incomplete. Science has made tremendous progress, no doubt about it. But at the same time, the human suffering has also increased manifold. If modern technology has given us a very sound system of health, but in the last 3 to 4 decades, the incidence of all diseases has gone up manifold, including our vulnerability to various infections. So we have to be aware of it, and we can do this only by nourishing our core. And at the core, we are that soul or the spirit, and this so-called spiritual practices nourish our life force or the spirit. And the Rishi Patanjali's Ashtanga Yoga is very much designed to help us as a lifestyle to keep on restoring and augmenting our energy and our life force. So the most important thing of this Ashtanga Yoga is Yama and the Niyama. That is, human being by nature is designed to do good for others. But unfortunately, in today's material race, we are all in this stress, tension, anxiety, greed, and panic. We are trapped in that. We have to rise above. For that, we have to make a conscious effort. We have to follow a discipline in our life. As we are a product of the nature, you see how diligently the nature follows a discipline. We being the products of the same nature, we must be in synchrony with this nature, with the elements of the nature. We must spend some time with the nature. I give this example to all my patients. I say, you bring the best of a healthiest of a plant and keep it indoors in the most luxuriant atmosphere with air condition, and you give it its nutrition, water, whatever. How long that plant will survive? But if you put that plant outside in the nature for half an hour or 1 hour every day, this plant will survive forever. So we are similarly in need of nourishing our 5 elements by exposure to the nature. That is why all human beings get attracted and get pulled to the nature. And we, as a routine, we must spend some time in the nature every day. So following the laws of the nature, that is, first is very important. As I am a peace-loving soul, I want peace, and to get my peace, I must get a good sleep. And the best hours to sleep are, as there is a old English proverb, early to bed and early to rise makes each one of us healthy, wealthy, and wise. So we all know that there is a time to go to bed. If we go to bed early, let's say generally around 10 o'clock, we will automatically have a good, sound, relaxing sleep and wake up fresh in the morning. How good will be my day tomorrow will depend upon how well I slept today night. So it's very important to follow the hours of sleep. I, in fact, have a suggestion for the authorities of the country that whereas we are imposing these quarantines and lockdowns and curfews, why can't we stop all the TV channels at 10 in the night? Because these crime thrillers and such thrilling things that go on in the night in the television deprive many people of going to bed in proper time. People go to bed very, very late. They get up very late, and their energies are depleted. They never have as good a health. On the contrary, if we get up early, that's called the Brahm Muhurat, the Amrit Vela. That's the time when the nature is at its best and it nourishes us. And we do our activities of nourishing our body, our mind, our soul through various yogic activities or various spiritual activities, our prayers, our japas, the mantras, etc. The morning is the time the most conducive for it. Morning is the time when we go out at the dawn, when the birds are chirping. That itself is a sign that the nature is at its best. And we go and spend those the little time in the nature, and it will help us also start chirping within, just as the birds are doing around. And that also keeps us a state of harmony between our body and mind. The practice of pranayama. See, today there is a chaos in the country, that there is an extreme shortage of oxygen all over, and unfortunately, people are dying because of that. But friends, please, if you practice, you first understand what is prana. Prana is my life force. When I breathe, I don't only breathe air or the oxygen in it, but I breathe prana, the factor of life. And I visualize, I make it run through my chakras, nourished by a very energy flow in my body, my prana. Prana is my life. If air or oxygen was life, then the doctors would give oxygen and ventilators, and nobody would like to die. But when the prana finishes, when the prana disconnects, no oxygen or life support works. So let us work at nourishing our prana. When we breathe, when we do good, healthy breathing, it restores harmony. It restores our milieu interior. You know, in yoga, yogic science, it is described as the Pingala and the Ida nadis. Same, the Chinese have described it as the yang and the yin. These are nothing but the expression of the sympathetic and the parasympathetic, our autonomic nervous system that harmonizes. We develop a body-mind harmony, a coordination. It also gives us a lot of relaxation. It improves our respiration, in the sense our oxygen requirement becomes much lower, thereby imparting us health and freshness, vigor and energy. Is supplemented with, of course, the asanas, which are good to keep our body physically fit and supple. And all this done, what they say, the dhyana, the meditation. And the best meditation, my dear friends, is on your breath, because breath is my life. My journey of my life commences with my first breath and it ends with my last breath. So the journey of life is the journey of my breath. How good is my breath will be the journey of this life. So let us put all our awareness and be breathing. And on breathing, I will certainly like to share a few comments. Friends, I will make a request here. Please note down. It will be very interesting to have a good question answer session at the end, instead of me just talking and walking. So please keep a note, a pen and a pencil, and as soon as I will like to share and also answer your questions, I may say certain things wrong, not acceptable or understandable, but then we must have a clarity for all that. Now, when we are talking of the breath is my life, the quality of breath is my life. So the better my breath, better my life. Nobody can deny that. So let us focus on our breath. Now, on our breath, it is very important, as in the yogic science as well as the traditional Chinese science, it has been accepted that our nostrils represent the Ida and the Pingala, or the yin and the yang. That means there are perhaps some subtle transmitters in our nostrils. As we breathe through the left or through the right, they get activated. The left predominates the parasympathetic system and the right the sympathetic system. And it creates an internal harmony. It's also very important that when you take a breath, please breathe through your abdomen. Do abdominal breathing. That gives the maximum capacity to your lungs to receive the air. There are various teachers will tell you that some will tell you breathe through this nose or exhale through mouth, or even you can breathe in through the mouth and exhale through the mouth. Well, they may have not perhaps understood the physiology of breathing as well as the yogic physiology of breathing, which is very, very important. So it's very important that we breathe with our abdomen, take a deep breath, hold the breath, let it harvest in the body. As the air and the oxygen gets time to transfer, the prana gets also absorbed, and then we exhale slowly, each time making a complete exhale, making maximum room for the next breath, round of air to go in. And thereby, you will see, even if you take 3 deep breaths in this manner, slowly inhale and exhale, you see certain relaxation, certain calmness, certain energy coming into your system. It's very, very subjective. So breathing is a very important, in fact, breath is my life. Human beings have understood roti, kapda, and makan as my essential needs. But I tell my patients, I say, how long you can survive without your breath? And everybody says, not even 2 minutes. So what is more important? And those who have mastered the breath, the yogis, They don't need roti, nor kapda, or nor makan. So please give adequate importance to your breath. That itself is life. And a good breath, good breathing habits keeps you not only equanimity of the mind, a good mind-body coordination, your sympathetic, your autonomic, and your central nervous system, they remain in harmony, and the life flows through. The quality of breath also determines how well your heart beats and your blood flow circulation. And thereby, everything that you do, put awareness into it. When you eat your food, thank the God, observe the food, enjoy its presentation, and enjoy your food as long as you can in the mouth. The longer the food stays in your mouth, the better shall be your digestion. I can tell you 90% of these gas, acidity, and constipation pills will disappear if just people start enjoying and doing full justice to the act of chewing and enjoying their food. Start practicing. Generally we do not have time to sit on our dining table, but we have all the time to spend on our commode. The people who don't spend even 5 minutes to finish their meal would spend hours on, and maybe many times pull many cigarettes and whatnot, try to get rid of, and even take so many medicines through the day. So these basic practices, beginning with Yama and Niyama, keeping yourself positive, doing positive acts, trying to refrain from the negativities of life, good sleep, good discipline in life, regular physical exercise, practice of pranayama, dhyana, dharana, etc. Pratihara, that is control over your senses, and it automatically takes you to state of samadhi, the state of joyfulness, satchita anand. That is not difficult at all. Any time spent in it, I tell my patients, if you spend 2 hours on your health every day, that makes it 2 by 24, only 8% of your time. Whereas any one of us, whatever we earn, we try to perhaps say 30, 40, 50% of that. That will be of no use if we lose our health in the meantime. But if we look after our health, invest 8% of our time, it will give you returns today on the same day, and in a compounding interest over your life. You will live life much better, much more productive, and much longer, and you will enjoy living life every moment. That is the essence. And in case you tend to fall sick, please try meeting a doctor. There are many wise doctors who practice so-called conservative medicine. This inventor of electricity, he had made a prediction, again more than 100 years ago, that the best doctor, the tomorrow's doctor, will be the one who will give least medicine. And I think everybody likes a doctor who gives least medicine, but somehow people force the doctors to write more and more medicines, more and more tests, more and more investigations, instead of trying to observe and take care of their health. So our aim should be to take care of my health. Prevention is the best medicine, and let's also take care of our nutrition. If we eat food for our health, for our energy, let us never take a wrong grade of food. For example, if your car runs on a particular octane of gasoline, if the same is not available, you will never use it. You are very particular about using fuel for your machines or the power for your electric gadgets. But then why abuse your system? I'm not talking any rocket science. You all know about it. But what needs is practice. An ounce of practice is better than a ton of knowledge. So these small, simple things. And also, I must share with you what makes me an exceptional doctor is only awareness of this life force. How this life force we can manage to enjoy our health, to enjoy our life, to take care of our health. And in case the health goes bad, how to put it back. So that is where when we say lifestyle disorders, it means we have disturbed our own lifestyle. And as a good doctor, it needs not to prescribe medicine, but to correct the lifestyle of the person. And it shall never fail you. Also, today I am known as an expert. In fact, when I say holistic medicine, I say holistic medicine is dedicated to promotion of positive health and total wellness, and especially for the eradication of conventionally incurable diseases. Yes, I am sharing this statement with you. There's no disease which is not reversible or curable and can restore your health. All that we need is to be aware of that I am an energy being. I'm not a physical body. As it is said, I am at the core and I am a spiritual being. Human being is a spiritual being on a physical journey. This body is my temporary visitation. So I must take care of my spirit. My body will be automatically healthy. And when anything goes wrong or anything which has gone too late and too bad or too complicated, friends, there is a system of quick restoration of this energy balance, and that has been our traditional heritage in the form of what we call the Bhedan Kriya. It's been a part of our Suchi Veda, the Bhedan Kriya, which is today known to the world as the system of acupuncture. The Chinese, this Suchi Veda spread to the Chinese, to the China or to the Far East, along with the spread of Buddhism. And the Chinese royalty patronized this system that today the world knows acupuncture as the Chinese system of medicine. And many people in our country have expressed objections that acupuncture is Chinese and China is our enemy number one. How we can? We are saying ban Chinese products. How can we adopt acupuncture because it is Chinese? No, friends, this is the Chinese adopted, took it from us, just as the Buddhism is the religion of the Far East, whereas Buddha was born in India. So this system, and I tell you, just now I have returned from a trek to the Everest Base Camp, and I saved definite deaths under normal circumstances with the magic of this system of acupuncture. Today, I am known because I am able to help people to reverse their very, very advanced diseases. I have patients who have been on, let's say, suffering from sleep apnea and have been using a CPAP machine for last 10 years. I have a young doctor who's been on oxygen therapy for several years because he could not breathe. He could not breathe well. He had bronchial asthma, chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, having gone into a state that, and in spite of that, they were lifeless. They had no energy. They can't even walk around in the home. And the other one, lady, is a 79 years old lady who has been on CPAP machine for last 10 years and yet totally lifeless, can't move in the house. Her whole body aches and pains and is told that she got spondylosis. She's got hypertension. She can't sleep well. In spite of all this, now today, within weeks of starting this holistic medicine therapy, essentially where the system of this acupuncture helps to restore your life force and thereby your healing. Your healing is always waiting, and they are enjoying the peak of their health. All their ailments are gone. So this happens They are, they, they are now feeling the skin, which was considered to be a seborrheic skin, or which was, they said you got skin diseases or allergic diseases or atopic dermatitis. The whole skin starts becoming a new and normal. And all this starts happening within a few weeks of commencing the treatment. So I'm sharing this with you with all the sincerity that people can overcome any sickness. And this can be, I am knocking around the agencies to help, to give me a chance that how we can improve the breathing of these unfortunate COVID victims who are suffering because of lack of oxygen. Because my over 5 decades of professional experience gives me the confidence to say that just as at a high altitude where a person's oxygen saturation below 70% can bring him to life within minutes, or a person who's been dependent on oxygen or CPAP machine for 10 years or more can start breathing within a few days. Why can't these people would also improve? But it's my appeal, my humble appeal to all of them. The most important thing is please maintain peace. Shanti jap kijiye. You can see there's a lot of power in the mantras, whether you say Om, Amin, or Amen. It creates positive vibrations. We can feel it with us. We have all done it. Why we forget? Make it as a part of our daily life routine, and we live with this awareness all the time. And of course, as a medical physician, I'm very proud of my heritage, but at the same time, I know that using medicines is the last thing that I should do, because the medicines, unfortunately do not come without any side effects. Hippocrates had made a dictum, primum non nocere, must do no harm. Unfortunately, today there is no drug which assures you that. Also, Hippocrates had said, let thy food be thy medicine. Unfortunately, today doctors' prescriptions are making thy medicine thy food. People often say, इतनी दवाई खा लेते हैं अब तो खाना खाने की जगह ही नहीं बची. And also, Hippocrates had said that the greatest factor in our getting well is our life force. He was aware of this life force, which has been a heritage of our Vedic sciences. So breath is my life. Better my breath, better my life. And I am a spiritual being. So let us nourish our spirit, our life force, and avoid all that which drains my life force. Let's do all that which enhances my life force. You know, who's a good human being, who's trapped in stress, tension, anxiety, fear, phobias, or one who's happy, who's helpful, who's loving, who goes out, takes care of others. So these are the activities which help enhance our life force. And that is what makes us healthy, happy, and gives us wellness. And at the end of the day, a satisfaction of having lived a life of having helped others. One more thing. See, after everything goes through, the patient goes to a hospital, from an acute emergency to gets to the ICU, and then he is on a ventilator, and doctors have done their level best. And finally, a day comes when the doctor comes with a long face and tells his patient, well, we have done our best. Now only a miracle can do. And that's the time when patients start running for organizing some prayer and such activities. So let us be aware that there is a power in all this, and this can help us remain healthy and happy forever. let's not leave it to the last moment. Let us keep it as the first, as a primary basic duty towards us, not only myself, my family, and my society and the nation as a large. India has always been considered the capital of spirituality by the whole world. But today we seem to be forgetting our heritage. Let's grab that. Let's get onto that. Let's understand that I am not the body. I am a spiritual being. Let me nourish my spirit. Let me nourish my soul. And there will be nobody healthier and happier than me. So with these words, I would be very happy. Certain things I may not have clarified. I may have said certain things which appear wrong. To face with the audience, please, I hope you have a lot of questions for me, and it will be my privilege to try to answer all of them to best of my capability.
Thank you so much, Dr. Tulit. Thank you so much for sharing this with us, sir. It was an insightful session.
Thank you. All the best. And may all you live COVID-free, healthy, happy, and the best of your life. May you all enjoy life. I again repeat my Vedic mantra, Sarve Bhavantu Sukhina, Sarve Santu Niramya. May all you be happy. May all you be healthy. No one of you may suffer anyway. Thank you. Jai Hind.